Welcome to Jubilee 2025 Pilgrims of Hope, a podcast from the Catholic Courier celebrating this milestone year in the Universal Church with stories of faith and hope from around the Diocese of Rochester. Here's your host, Gina Capellazzi, digital content producer at the Catholic Courier.
Volunteers are the heartbeat of parishes, Catholic schools, and communities. They dedicate their time, talent, and treasure for the benefit of others. As part of the Jubilee Year, the Catholic Church honored volunteers from around the world during a celebration in Rome in early March 2025. Here at home, Betsy MacKinnon is the volunteer coordinator of outreach programs at Rochester's Holy Apostles Church. Betsy is involved in a number of parish ministries, from its Christmas Blessings program to its summer ice cream socials for the parish neighborhood. She also is a clinical social worker and a licensed therapist. Betsy recently joined Catholic Courier staff writer Elena Cambio to talk about her service to the Holy Apostles community and its neighbors in Rochester's Lyle Otis section. Now I turn things over to Elena.
Thanks, Gina. Good morning, Betsy. Thank you for being with us today.
You're welcome. It's good to be here.
Great. So I would first like to ask you, where do you volunteer and what's your title there?
Sure. I am a member of Holy Apostles Parish on Lyle Avenue in the inner city of Rochester, and I do almost all of my volunteer work through the parish.
Wonderful. And how long have you been there as a volunteer?
At Holy Apostles, about 18 years. So it's been a good long time. And then prior to that, I was at St. Bridget's.
Oh, I see. And what do you do there as a volunteer?
What I do is I coordinate all of the outreach programs in our neighborhood and for people who are in need. So I do a variety of different things. It is not my full-time job, okay? But I coordinate a lot of events that we have that are going to impact, hopefully, our community and the people that come to us.
I see. That's beautiful. And where do you work?
I have a private practice. I'm a mental health therapist, and I'm located in the office of Westside Pediatrics, but it's a private practice.
Oh, I see. That's wonderful. And so does your work and your ministry at all overlap or intersect?
At times it does. Some of the families that I see in my private practice, they have needs as well, and if we can help them, we'll do that as well. And I always find that good psychology is good spirituality, and good spirituality is good psychology. So my focus at work is not primarily on the spiritual, but on the mental health, whereas my focus at Holy Apostles is more on the spiritual, but mental health is there too. So,
wow, that's wonderful. So can you describe some of the volunteer ministries you're currently engaged with?
Sure. Because the Easter season is coming, this Easter what we will do is we will have 100 parishioners bake 5 loaves of bread each. And then what we do, those loaves are given on Palm Sunday, and then not Holy Saturday, okay, we gather back at the rectory with 500 loaves of baked bread. And we wrap them up, we put a card on them, and then we walk the neighborhood and give it away as a sign of Jesus's rising from the dead, okay, the rising of the bread. And then we welcome them, if they would like to come to any of our Easter Masses. So that's coming up. Prior to that, though, in 2 weeks, we have a new kind of outreach program that we're doing, and we are calling it God's Lunch Bag. And so many of us, as we're driving through the city of Rochester, we notice that there's a lot of homeless people. We see them on the street corners. They're asking for money. We don't know what to do. It's not always comfortable. And so we decided that we are going to put together these lunch bags, really plastic bags, with some things like a pair of socks, a toothbrush and toothpaste, Kleenex, wipes, Band-Aids, and then food. Trail mix, granola bars, water, and a few other things. And as we come across people who want to accept this, then we'll give it to them. So Not this weekend, but the following weekend, we will make up those bags after every Mass. And then the following weekend, Father Tony will bless them, and then people will be invited to take them and to share them with others. So those two things are coming up. In the summer, we have what we call ice cream socials, where we flyer the neighborhood and invite everyone for ice cream. Because in our neighborhood, neighbors aren't the same as like in my neighborhood. They have difficulty saying hello to each other. They're not sure who they can trust, and kids need a place to play. So we buy tons of ice cream. People can have as much ice cream as they want. We have all kinds of toys and things like that for the kids to do. And we do that the week that school is ending, and then we do it again the beginning of August. At the same time, we have what we call the MOPS, the Missionaries of Peace. And usually on Thursday evenings, it's a group of volunteers from our parish. We go out into the neighborhood. We just walk the neighborhood in groups of 2 or 3. And we just simply ask people as we meet them, do they have any need for prayer? And they let us know. We stop with them right then and there. We pray, we tell them about our church, and then we continue. So those things happen in the summer. The other thing that happens is our big Christmas blessing project, and that starts actually at the end of September and October because people are asking, what do we need help with? And we do that the week before Christmas. We set up on a Sunday, and people call us and they register, they get a time that they can come, and we set up our church like a great big department store like Target, okay? And people come at their assigned times, and they are given a personal shopper, and they go up and down the aisles of the church, picking out the gifts that they think that their children would like. So they have total control of what they're giving their kids. And then from there, they go up to the front of the church where we have tables set up with volunteers who will wrap everything, who will help to wrap everything. Following that, when they leave, we have rides for them, but they go to the back door of the rectory and they receive a very large food basket because the kids are out of school last year for 2 weeks. And so food is going to be a little bit short. So we try to make those food baskets significant. So that's our Christmas blessing project. Let's see, what else do we have?
Could I interrupt for just a moment? So all of these wonderful ministries that you're doing in your neighborhood and for the community, all of these things are staffed by volunteers?
All of them are staffed by volunteers. I'm a volunteer, so everyone volunteers. And, in the past couple of years, we've had challenges with volunteers because many of our volunteers have aged out. Okay, they can no longer do what they used to do. People's commitments have increased, so they don't have the time that would be wonderful to have to volunteer. So they can't do long-term commitments. So we have to work with that. So we ask people to commit to a ministry, one of those things that I've mentioned to you. If they could commit to one, then we're okay. For example, the Christmas Blessing Project takes more than 100 volunteers. Between the getting the things, setting up, bringing any extra that we have left over from the upstairs to the downstairs, taking all the gifts that were received from other parishes and people, laying that all out. Some people can then volunteer the next day. It's a huge, huge project, but it also brings a lot of joy, not just to the people who are receiving, but to those who are volunteering too. So it's really good. So we have a lot of volunteers, and they're dedicated. But we have to work with them, like I said, and get them more commitment focused on one thing versus you have to volunteer your whole life for a whole year. We don't do that. So.
And I would imagine that over the years, as the situations have changed, and you mentioned with people's schedules and people aging out, are you finding that younger people are interested in joining with ministry as volunteers? Do younger people kind of step up to the volunteer?
They will step up if they know it's a one-time commitment, okay? However, next week when we do our lunch bags, we have a parishioner on Sunday who will make another big announcement about that. And he has a young family. Tim and Elena have a young family, and they are all fired up about organizing God's lunch bags. So they will get that all organized. I will assist them, and they will help people to do it. And it's wonderful. And it's wonderful that they're willing to engage their young children to help as well. So we're really excited about that, and we're thankful to them.
So where do the ideas come from for these ministries?
They come from lots of different places. Father Tony and I, we will think about something and we say to ourselves, can this become something, okay? Because we're really trying to do an outreach something every month, okay? Before COVID, it was more, we had more things. We had a neighborhood dinner that was every month. We had our music, dance, and reading camp that was 2 weeks in the summer. So we had other things that we no longer do. But so our goal this year is to really say, how can we reach out to our community at least once a month? And then other people on the parish council or other volunteers will say, hey, have you ever thought of doing this? Or what about this? How do we meet this need? So we're trying, in a sense, to meet the needs of the people. So we're careful about what we do, and we want to make it good for our parishioners, but we also want to make it good for the people who are receiving.
Wonderful. So can you talk a little bit about what is the place or the need for volunteers in the church?
Oh, the need for volunteers in the church is big. It's big in all of our churches. It's not just Holy Apostles, it's big everywhere because there's a lot more needs. And we're becoming more and more aware of those needs. And we can't just shut ourselves down and say, we're not going to pay attention to them. We have to pay attention to them. We're able, by volunteering and helping at Holy Apostles, because our neighborhood is so poor, we're able to be church for a person. Okay? We're able to be the presence of Jesus for a person that they may never have experienced before. And that's really powerful. And it's a responsibility, but it's very powerful. We have the opportunity to bless others, but we also know that we're blessed in return. So it's a mutual thing. It's really mutual. You know, there's a lot of people that I often say, I'm not sure I would have the courage or the strength to live what they've lived through. You know, and that just humbles you. But it also helps you to be more compassionate. You know, they've had events in their lives that have been traumatic. I don't know what's happened before that event. They shared the event, but I do know what can happen in a small way after the event. We can be there for them. And that's a wonderful thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I guess the wrap-up question I have is, what brought you personally to volunteer into the ministries that you're doing?
That's a little bit of a loaded question. When I was in college, even before college, volunteering was part of my family's life. It was expected, and it was good. And then I went off to college, and I did some mission trips. And one of those mission trips was to Germantown, Philadelphia, with the Vincentians. And I volunteered there for 2 weeks. A whole group of students did. It was a lot of fun. We did a lot of great work. And I came back one night and I was like all fired up about it. I'll never forget this. I was all fired up. And a priest there, Father Bernie Tracy, looked at me and he said, Betsy, are you going to save the world by yourself, or are you going to let Jesus help you? And so I was like, yeah, me and Jesus, we could be a good team. And I've always done service work. You know, a lot of people, their experience of God at church may be right in the church building. For me, I've had incredible experiences of the presence of God in my life through others and through service. So that was one, okay? I remember, I'm telling you stories now, I hope that's okay.
That's fine.
I remember one time early in my ministry, I'm a clinical social worker, and I just thought, it was after graduation, I just thought I was the cat's meow in some ways, okay? And I was working at a shelter for homeless families. There were 18 families, and the courts had asked us to take on a woman who was coming out of jail, so we did. And she was wonderful, and she and I worked really well together. And then eventually her kids were able to reunite with her at the shelter. So one Saturday night I go there, and she is totally inebriated. And I was so disappointed, but I helped. I got the kids ready for bed, things like that, and thought, okay, relapse is part of recovery. The next day, Sunday, for some reason, I thought I'm just going to stop again. And I found the same thing. So the next morning, on Monday morning, I got the kids off to school, and I said to her, we need to talk. So I went back to her home, the apartment that she had, and we began to talk. But she said to me, she said, Betsy, make your statement, okay? And I said, no, I want to hear from you first. She said, no, just make your statement. So I wasn't happy. And I said that. I wasn't happy. I had trust in her. I thought that she would be wonderful with her family again, and what's happening, and I'm confused. And I just went on and on, okay? She invited me to make my statement. I certainly made it. At the end of it, she looked at me and she says, you have to remember one thing. And I said, what's that? She said, you have to love me if you want to get to heaven. So I've had people in my life like that, in ministering and doing volunteer work, that humble me and that bless my life by the messages that they give to me. You know, I think of another person. She was in a shelter as well. She got her own apartment. She had a number of children. I had a Girl Scout troop. Some of her kids were in my Girl Scout troop. And I went one night just to visit her. I really enjoyed her. We had a wonderful relationship. And she's sitting out on a step of her apartment, which was adequate, wasn't great, wasn't in the best neighborhood. And we're sitting there, and she says to me, Betsy, I have 7 children from 7 different men, and I still don't know what love is. So all the time, for me, my experience of being a volunteer is meeting Christ in different ways. And then in those ways, people are calling me to be Christ. And so it has always been a major part of my life. I can't imagine not doing it. I really can't. And I'm very fortunate because Holy Apostles, we have a pastor there who is wonderful, who really, really cares for the poor himself and urges and encourages that. And we can be creative. You know, when you're poor, you make a lot out of what you have. And that's what we try to do. And I'm blessed. So.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that. That's wonderful.
Oh, you're welcome.
Is there anything else you'd like to add about volunteering in general?
I would encourage every person to do a little volunteer work, even if it's a one-time event, even if it's only a couple hours. You have no idea the impact that you're making in people's lives and how you're blessing them. And you have no idea how you'll be blessed in return. So I know that life is busy. I know it can be so overwhelming, but just take some time, wherever it is, whether it's in church, in an organization, wherever, and just do it. And if you have children, please, please encourage them to do a mission trip. It's fun, they serve, it brings them closer to God. So those are just some of the things, you know. And there's all kinds of ways to do a mission trip, so yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Wonderful.
You can learn more about Jubilee Year 2025 by clicking on the links in the description below this video. Or if you're listening to the audio-only version, you can find the links in the description below your podcast player. Thank you for joining the Courier's Jubilee 2025 Pilgrims of Hope podcast. We'll have another episode for you on April 24th.